evening, everybody. Don't worry, it will be very short. It's a great pleasure tonight to welcome Professor Chong at the Paranormal Observatory. Guillermo is a big friend, a true friend of our observatory. He has helped us as long as I can think, and many others know him even longer, of course, with setting up and understanding our place where we actually are and where we should put our new precious telescopes or whatever we are trying to do here in the desert. He's a very special person, and he knows a lot of secrets, in particular secrets of the Atacama Desert. And so it's very nice that he came tonight to share with us some of these secrets and explain us, I expect, a bit about the place where we actually are. Guillermo, please. Thank you.
Okay, good night, ladies and gentlemen. Je suis désolé de ne pas parler en français parce que je sais qu'il y a beaucoup de français. Auf Deutsch auch nicht. So, ich werde am besten auf Englisch reden. Okay, tomorrow a group of the first two things. Thank you for the invitation from Andreas Kaufer, a very good friend of mine, and I have some other friends like Gerhard Wiederpohl here and some other more. One important thing is that you will see many photos here, and most of the best photos belongs to this gentleman here, Don Gerhard Wiederpohl. That is, as you will see, is a fantastic professional making photos. Okay, this is a way in which many Chileans used to see Chile, a country that used to be in 3 different continents: in Polynesia, in South America, and in the Antarctic. Yeah. Well, that's a way to see Chile, but actually, our country should be like this one. Okay? Many people said that Chile is a very long country. Yeah? And it is long, absolutely long. Yeah? But other people believe that the country is very wide because it's facing the commercial market of the Pacific. So they consider the situation from another viewpoint. Anyhow, wider or long, if we put Chile on the European map, it will cross north-south the whole continent, and even it will reach some part of Africa. That's the real landscape we should see about our country. That means that the boundaries of the country are very sharp. So if we go to northern Chile, in these 2 regions, even 3 regions that are called the Norte Grande de Chile, yeah, we will find this type of road, of landscape, and this is in the middle of the desert, and you will see these trails here that are pre-Spanish. So they are about 10,000 years old, this road crossing from the coast up to the archipelago. This is Cape Horn, that is the southernmost point of South America, and also the southernmost boundary of Chile. And of course, to the to the east, we have the Andes, the Andes, these mountains with these high mountains that are separating us from other neighbor countries. And if you want to find our westernmost part, you have to sail or you have to swim about 4,000 kilometers, and you will reach an island. And so it's still no continent but an island. that is the eastern island. So the landscapes are very, very different. This is the southernmost Chile with these glaciers, with these retreating glaciers we have there. And these are the jungles of the big woods of still the southernmost Chile. And it's a land of water and green, and you can see always the presence of mountains that are volcanoes, like this one that is called the Puntiagudo volcano. Yeah? And the lake, in this case, the Lake Todos Santos, and the rivers, yeah, that shows today one of the more scarce resources of the world, that is water. If you continue to the north, you will find to the north of Santiago de Chile, you will find this type of vegetation in the national park, that is Parque Nacional La Campana. But you will start looking, you will start seeing that the landscape is more naked than to the south. And this is the Atacama Desert in the northernmost part of the country. There is a confusion when people speak about the Atacama Desert. People used to believe that the northern Chile is a synonymous of the Atacama Desert, and it is not. Northern Chile have two domains. One is the desert, and the other is the altiplano or high Andes. Yeah, and this is a view of the high Andes with one of the more classic volcanoes there. That is the Cancabur volcano. And well, I used to put these photos to show the way in which I'm a geologist, in which we geologists are running around this country. And well, when you sail this type of ships, when you reach the earth, you don't want to make geology. The only thing you want is to find a place to put your stomach out of your body. This is the young geologist, the adventurers in the fjords of southern Chile. And this is a way in which we use four-wheel legs mules to work in the Norte Chico, because the landscape there is very aggressive. It's very difficult to work in geology here. And this is myself about 250 years ago. And in the desert, this is a way in which you used to work in geology. Yeah? It is interesting that wherever you go in the desert, you will find that the roads, even when the terrain is flat, you will see that you will find this type of tracks, because they were formerly cart tracks. Yeah? So the animals were looking the best slope to go up and to go down. That's the reason why we have these curves. And here you can see a typical track of a cart of the nitrate times, in which you will see two channels, and a channel a little higher than the other two, because if you drive in that direction, here there is a mule in which the driver was riding the mule. Yeah? Here was another mule, and here was another mule. But after this mule were coming the wheels. That's the reason why the channels are deeper than in the middle. Well, in southern Chile, the economy is practically floating. You can see the way in which the products are transported there. Yeah? And we there depend on the sea. In southern Chile, and even in some places close to central Chile, the main exploitation is wood, and you can see the damage that are caused, because this is the artificial wood, artificial forest, that one, and this is a native forest. Yeah? But that type of forests are destroying the soils very, very quickly. And this is Norte Chico, in which today the main industrial activity are vineyards and the production of wine. Yeah? And in northern Chile, mining is the main activity. We have three types of mining: big mining, middle mining, and small mining. In this case, is a small miner, and he's making a special operation mine that is called, in Spanish, is called realizar. That means to bring the things to the reality. Yeah. And what he's doing this man? He has the mineral. He will smash the mineral with his hammer, and he will choose the piece with higher grade to this side, with middle grade to this side, and with nothing to this side. Yeah? And he will say later, okay, here we have, say, 40% copper, here we have 3.5% copper, and here we have nothing. And you have to believe them. Never, never make a bet with them. Never. And we have the big mining, like in this case. The people is different. In southern Chile, this is a shepherd, and you can see the way in which he's protected, not only for the weather, but also to get into the trees with the horse. Yeah? We have this type of protections. Yeah? And instead, in northern Chile, even the animals are different. We have a shepherd in northern Chile, and you can see that it's absolutely different the way in which they act. The cities are different. In southern Chile, we have the color of the trees. We have the colors of the roof to protect themselves of the rain. Yeah? But it's always the presence of the volcanoes. This is the Calbuco volcano, and it's the more dangerous volcano in the country. That is Puerto Montt. And in northern Chile, we climb into the hills to put our cities, yeah, and we have less color, but I could say we have different colors. So in the desert, in northern Chile, we have the desert and we have the altiplano. You can see that the landscapes are absolutely different. In this area of the Atacama Desert to the west, the humidity and the rain is very slow. We may have in some places 0.3 millimeter per year or 0 millimeter per year. Yeah? And the average is also very low. Instead, in the altiplano, in cases we may have up to 250, up to 400 millimeter per year. This is the place where Antofagasta was founded. It was Coloso place. And this is the place where the Chilean troops disembarked in 1879 for the Pacific War, in which after the war Chile was the owner of these big areas in northern Chile. One of the interesting aspect of the northern Chile is mining. Mining has been always not only the present in each time, but also the horizon for the next time. Yeah? And there are history that have begun and finished. For instance, the conquest of the desert through the nitrate industry. The nitrate industry started in Chile in 1879, and during about 20 years, it was the base of the Chilean economy. But in 1914, it disappears, and in 1930, it disappears practically absolutely with a big economic depression. And that's the way in which the people start working in the desert. Yeah. There is the type of car I mentioned before with the 3 mills there. At the very beginning, they were loading the nitrate in that way. Yeah, and you can see that even when today these are pieces of museum, in the time of the nitrate, industry, yeah, in the full life of the nitrate industry, the people was very civilized. You can see how these people is dressed, yeah? And you can see some women in the way they were dressed. Yeah? So you can appreciate there that was a very dynamic society. Here the taxis, and here the luggage. This was one of the more modern railways in Chile in that time, and then they changed for trucks. And if you see the capacity of the trucks, it was very similar to the cars. And then was a time in which silver was very important. These are the ruins of an old smelting refinery of silver in Chile that was so important because the silver was brought from Bolivia, about 600 kilometers away, crossing the Andes. Yeah? This is the so-called ruinas de Huanchaca ruins. Yeah, that as I told you was formerly a smelting refinery. And today we have this thing. This is a hill called Colorado Chico. But now it disappears because below this hill you have nothing but copper. And here are the holes that were exploring for the discovery of Escondida in the 1980s. That was the beginning of the mine, and this is today's mine. As you see, a modern industry, a very powerful industry, with this type of trucks that people don't want to believe when you say them that in the tank they used to have 4,000 liters of petrol. Yeah. And they can load up to 400 tons of mineral, and some of them are robotic. Okay, the idea is to talk about this is of course one of the photos, and he is in love with dunes, and wherever, if you walk with him in the desert and there are dunes, you lost him for always. He stay there and you will see not in days. Yeah? So, but our desert is not similar to the Sahara Desert or to Gobi Desert or to other deserts. Yeah? Because we have not so many dunes as expected in the desert, because we have plenty of salt there. And salt is cementing the sediments, and they are not flying through the desert like in other deserts. Yeah, this is the altiplano, this is a salt flat that are very classic in the high Andes. And this is one of the reasons of the desertic climate we have in the desert, because this is a rain shadow effect in which the clouds coming from the Atlantic with humidity, they are stopped for the summit of the high Andes, and all the water is precipitated in the other side of the Andes in Argentina. Yeah, and here we have dryness. Climate is so dry in the Atacama Desert that these houses are built with salt, but are houses of 150 years, and they are still there, and they will stay for other 150 years. And one of the interesting things also in the Atacama Desert is when you have a mine in which we're working, say 6,000 people or 10,000 people, or you have a nitrate mine, or you have a spring with water, or any place with people, when the resource finish, everybody fly away. So in this place, formerly, there were 6,000 people working, and the only thing we have is that tree, if we can call it a tree. And that is the photo very classic to show how the clouds with water are stopped for the big mountains and they don't cross the Andes to reach our desert. Yeah? This is the Argentinian side in the area of Volcán Villayaco. And as you see, all the humidity is there. If you go in the same latitude than Antofagasta, you will find the former volcano chain and the clouds there. But if you go far to the to the east, you will see rivers in the Salta area in Argentina. Yeah? And if you go a little farther, you will find a real jungle. Yeah? So the climate in both sides of the Andes, I mean, not on the Andes, on the high Andes, on the mountains, change we call high Andes, are very different. And the aridity is increasing to the east. Yeah? Each day is more acidic. Each day there is less water. So you can see this is a paleo coast of the saline lake in the high Andes. Yeah? And of course the bathymetry, the depth of the lakes was much deeper than now. And you can see this paleo coast. Yeah? And here you can see also the same thing, because the color of this rock and the type of erosion of this rock is due to the salt of the water. But now the level that was there is here. And the desert is able to preserve some things that are incredible. For instance, when I saw this animal, I can for sure say that it is a female. Yeah? And it is a female because you can see still the baby here inside the animal. You can see the non-native horse. Yeah? But there are some opportunities in which in the desert we have plenty of water. This is very close to Paraná, between Paltal and Paposo, and you will see that for the size of the man who is scaled here, you will see that there is plenty of water running here in the Cordillera de la Costa. And sometimes there are too much water, like in 1991 in Antofagasta, when we have a flood there, and in only hours it killed 106 people. And you have snow here in Paraná. You must remember this, yeah. Another characteristic of the Atacama Desert and the high Andes is the presence of salt, in such a way that you will find this is a cliff, yeah? And from the very cliff, yeah, you will see salts covering the surface or immediately underlying the soils. Yeah? And you will find different generations of salt in geological time. So the whole desert is a saline domain. Yeah? This is in the high Andes. So the whole, if you make a profile, all the desert will be related with salt. The other interesting thing is that in this area of northern Chile, the Andes reach their wider expression, and in this area, including central and southern Peru, northern Chile, southwest Bolivia, and northwest Argentina, there is an anomaly of mining resources that is the higher in the world. Yeah? So, for instance, only in Chile, we have the 33% of all copper reserve in the world. Yeah? And we have also plenty of molybdenum, zinc, rhenium, gold, silver, tin in all the area, plus some industrial mineral like lithium, nitrate, iodine, boron, sulfur. You have to also to consider that Chile is the first copper producer were around. Yeah, is the third producer of molybdenum. Is the first producer of lithium. Is the first producer of nitrate. Is the first producer of iodine. Yeah, and in the other minerals is between the first 5 or the first 10 in the world. So you can see the size of the mines. Yeah, this is the lithium evaporation ponds in the Salar de Atacama. Yeah, and the 51% or maybe more of the Chilean mining production is from Antofagasta region. The other characteristic are the volcanoes. We have volcanoes from the northern boundary. These are the so-called Tabaca volcanoes, or Nevado de Putre. They are synonymous. Yeah? This is where Chile begins. Yeah? And the activity of volcanoes, we have between Copiapó and Arica, we have about 500 volcanoes, and from them at least 10% is in activity. This is the volcán Las Tarrias, where we are going tomorrow. Yeah? And this is Laguna de Aguas Calientes there. And all the scenery there are volcanoes. And you can see here the fumaroles that you will see for yourself tomorrow. And it's also, northern Chile is a land of earthquakes, tsunamis, and other phenomena because of its geological composition. So in this case, this butter chip of the USA, as you can see the flag there, that in 1862 was in the Arica Bay, and a tsunami took it about 4 kilometers inland, and then the wave took it 2 kilometers to the sea, but it doesn't reach the sea and stay there. Yeah? You can see some people in mules there talking with the sailors. Yeah? And the interesting thing is that nobody was killed for the tsunami in the ships. There were very many ships like this there in that time, but this was the only butter ship in that area. Well, this is a landscape of the desert. And the oldest people known in the desert is dated in 10,000 years. And we have some cities like this that are buried cities, and with this type of houses buried by sand and other sediments. And in this case, it's very interesting because this place is called Ramaditas. And it's very interesting because you have about 10,000 hectares here that were formerly with vegetation, with plants that were cultivated. Yeah? And there was a fantastic system of irrigation. Yeah? And when the water was gone, the city disappears. So the people have to live to a higher place. Then when the water disappears there, to a higher place. So they are living, most of them are living now in the altiplano. We have also this Inca fortress and the salt flats, in which this is the colors. It belongs to bacteria and archaeas, algae, and other microorganisms living there, and it is an exceptional place of biodiversity, we call it in Spanish microbiota, that is microorganisms living there, and we haven't protected this richness, and that's a very, very serious problem for the future for this country. We have geysers that demonstrate activity, volcanic activity, yeah? And some people used to say that there are no colors in the Atacama Desert. Maybe because they are not able to see these things, so they never reach them. Yeah? But I can see many colors there. Over there. Yeah, and in the altiplano, the things absolutely change. We have more colors, and we will cross tomorrow through one of these areas, or similar area, yeah, with lakes. Yeah. And one of the phenomena that we also have here is dripping fogs called Camanchagas. You can see it every day from here when you see the sunset. Yeah? And it is a type of dripping fog that reach up to 600 meters. And for many people it's a coastal phenomenon, but it's not. It can reach about 100 kilometers inland because it goes through the valleys. Yeah? And it's a typical phenomenon in the desert. You can see here, in this case, we are about 80 kilometers from the coast, and this dripping fog is there. Some other people say that in the desert there is no fauna, no flora. You can see if you explore the sea, you can see everything, every type of bird, every type of coastal animals. Yeah? In the abandoned mines, you will find a lot of this type of birds. In the desert, in the cellars, yeah. In the altiplano and in the desert. And this is a photo from here that I don't know what type of animal it is, but it looks like a rock anyhow. Yeah? It looks like a rock. It has face of rock. And this is also a photo of here. When we have this desert full with flowers here, you can find plenty of insects that live at the same time that the flowers live. That means 2 months or things like that. Saltamontes. This is in, the miners call him Don Juan. This is a fox. This is type of animal I expect we'll see tomorrow. Many types of lizards. And these rats, I have never seen one of them alive. Yeah, they have eaten my food in the field. They have eaten my clothes. They wanted to eat myself one night. Yeah, but I never saw one alive. So I have to find them dead to make a picture of them. Many birds. And this is maybe the unique animal that can be that can give problems in the desert. Yes? This is a place where you are now, and it used to be sometimes like this. Or like this. Or like this. There are many strange plants like this. It's called yareta. It grows up in the high Andes, and it takes hundreds of years to develop the whole specimen. Yeah, and this is a place we are going to visit tomorrow. I think we will reach this area, but if you want to drive up to here, you can do it. You are allowed to. The only problem that you will reach 6,000 meters there, but you can drive with the car. In some places where you have water, you have very, very strange formation, like these stromatolites, or paleostromatolite, fossil stromatolite, we will cross with this place also, or living stromatolite like this one. And this is an adventure we have with Gil. We saw a bird, and we jumped from the truck. He was with one idea, and I myself with another. He was looking for the egg. He found the eggs, and I was looking for the bear because I wanted to see how the bear was. We found both, but Gerd came back later, and the egg was no more there. It was the bear. Yeah, in northern Chile there are some fantastic landscapes, some fantastic places. Here, for instance, if somebody of you is fond of surf, you can go here. You will find waves of 12 meters high. Yeah. or the coast of Mejillones. Well, you have this abundance of animals. Or the cliff here in this area between Taltal and Paposo with the corresponding flora. Or the landscape like in Pan de Azúcar to the south of here, that is a beautiful place. Or some sceneries that are preserved from the past. Yeah? This is the theater in Taltal. This is an old Oficina Chacabuco in Antofagasta that is still preserved. And we have a theater that was rebuilt, and they used to give some operas and some festival of songs there, and in the middle of the desert, in the middle of nothing. That is very, very impressive. Yeah? This is a hospital of Pisagua. There are some caves that are very interesting. These valleys in the northernmost part of the country, like Azapa. And this is the damage that some people cause to the old archaeological places you can see here. It was formerly a geoglyph. Yeah. This is the way in which the people here with our culture treat the cemeteries. Yeah, and of course it's a capital of the astronomy. Yeah. This is a crater, the impact crater of Monturati, one of the biggest in South America, or the biggest in South America maybe. And this is the things that people from Europe is doing here, but in this case it's American one, it belongs to NASA. But they will work with another uncles or cousin of these systems. And the archaeology is present everywhere. This is a Cerro Unitas. You can see a giant petroglyph here. And this is a place where the people was building arrowhead. You can see that it was used like hammer. It's used in this position. You can see that. The way in which the people was keeping their identity in the desert. This is very close to here. This is the Quebrada del Médano, and the other is Taira. And you can recognize un Don Juan, the burial, Domingo, the shepherd with the llamas, very different person of men, and some things that are very, they're very difficult to see it from far away, so it's difficult to preserve them. And an interesting thing is that the people from the coast was crossing the whole country up to the Amazonian, and they bring feathers from birds to their hats and clothes. Yeah. And this had been found in graves here in the middle of the desert. This is are called tablas de rapé. Yeah. And this is a thing in which the guy put here some type of marijuana or things like that. They put the things in the nose, and they make like this, and then they have visions, and we're talking with the gods. This is the city I mentioned before. The place is called Ramaditas, and it's interesting how the people try to make a projection of themselves in the time. So when they were building these things, they put their hands in the mud, yeah, their fingers, but they were putting faces there. And it looks funny, but there are some of these houses in which it looks like the people was building the thing, but there were children, and the children also made faces at it in his position, very low faces, very close to the floor, and very naive, but it's very interesting how they want to transmit the type of message. These that look straight are channels for irrigating in the desert. Now, absolutely, this is a place in which were the cultivations. And the wind in the desert makes things like this, that we will see tomorrow also. And some beauties in the desert when you are looking for colors, well, you will see the colors of the minerals. Yeah? These are the blue of the lakes in southern Chile, and this is the green of the trees of southern Chile we have here in the minerals. This is a place where you are, and this is the fort. This is the fort. This is the Atacama Fort. You are here. Yeah? And this is one of the biggest forts in Chile. It has about 1,000 kilometers long, and it has a width with different system of forts of about 50 kilometers. And this is the fort in places in which it is open. We have also some very spectacular features in the salt flats. Yeah, like this, some salt rocks like this, and these are called sinkholes, in which this will be sink in the future, because the water is solving the salts below, and then it will fall the whole sinks. This is a more active volcano in Chile, that is in Antofagasta. It's called the Lascar. This is the crater of the Lascar. And this is a volcano we're going to visit tomorrow. And in the past were animals like this swimming in seas in the Jurassic time. And now you can find them like this. Some of the people that will go with me will collect for themselves some of them tomorrow. This is one of the secrets that Andres is talking about. There were these animals, and these histories. For instance, we used to have crocodiles in Jurassic seas here, but they were eaten like peanuts for another bigger animals of more than 25 meters long. And this is the skull of one of these crocodiles in the museum of the Universidad Católica del Norte. That is the best preserved specimen of this crocodile in the world. We have dinosaurs tracks. You can see different type of dinosaurs walking. Yeah. So this is the desert, and in the desert we will find always miners. Yeah. This man, for instance, this people is a different type of race. It's people who have a history that is the richest in the country. This guy is smashing a piece of rock that is assumed that it have gold. Okay? When he smashed the thing first like this and then like this, it will become a very fine powder. And he put it in this stuff that is nothing but the middle of a horn. Yeah? And then he put some water there. In the desert, water is scarce, so you have to imagine what he used when there is no water. Yeah, and he start moving the thing in this way, and the lighter things will go with water, but the heaviest thing will stay, and the heaviest thing is gold. And stay there. That is called the gold tail. Yeah, and the gold tail, according to its size, the guy would say we have 15 or 16 or 20 grams per ton of coal. This other guy works in nitrate, and he have this type of rope that burns like a cigarette. You see, without flame, yeah. So he take this thing, go to the nitrate, make like this, and he will look like this, and the nitrate will be sparkling there. Yeah, and he counts the time and the amount of sparks, and he will know the grade of the nitrate. So, and in any place in the desert you will find some structures for mining, and they were artists to work with cans. That is a bell. He put the thing hanging, he was in the bottom of the shaft, he made like this, and the bell will ring. This is for cooking. This is a toy that I never knew if there was a children in that mine or was a toy that was made for the miner to take it to his child and he forgot it. There's a lamp. This is to drink coffee. At this kitchen, you see, everything is can. Here, this stuff here, the chimney and the stove that is in the other side. This is the dormitory of a miner. You see the bed here? This is the bed. All the nitrate mines are today ghost towns. We will cross one of them tomorrow. But the people was using there in this mine was using China from England or for France. The type of cars they use. This is for transport water. That was to take out from the houses the dirty water. These are trucks of cars. This is part of the network. Each mine have its own money. And you can see in these photos the way in which these people lived and dressed at that time. And this is an interesting photo. You see here, this is a whole group. This guy is Humberton, was one of the main owner of nitrate mine. And the blue eyes men there are all of them Europeans, British. Yeah? And the blackie here, the Chileans. They are prepared to play a game of soccer. Yeah? You see that these women here are undoubtedly also British. Miner in the nitrate industry. And the children were exploited in the same way that were exploited in Europe during the Industrial Revolution. And if you see this photo, you will see that the costume haven't changed. I have always asked myself, what is this guy? Look his face. What this guy is telling to this lady. You can see that the expression of him is something, he's asking something. Yeah? And the lady is very ashamed of this guy. And also that the costume haven't changed. You can see this is a very typical costume from today. Yeah? The industry of nitrate was very hard for the people. You can see the houses there, side by side with the places where the horses were. This was a way of exploiting underground mining in nitrates. The way in which the water was kept in the desert, the souvenirs, the way in which you can remember the desert histories today. And you can see the names that you can see in the grave that are impossible to find this name today. Fausto, for instance. Elesforo. Yeah, and this is made of marble. It's a British cemetery because the Europeans were not allowed to be buried in the cemeteries, Catholic cemeteries. Yeah, so they build their own cemeteries, and you can see there is it said Captain Leonard Henry Asquith, South North Hussars, died November, and it's written there, gave his life for his country. And to understand that he gave his life for his country in Chile, it's very difficult to understand. But this guy was fighting in the First World War, yeah? And when he arrived to Chile, he was gassed. So he was about to die. So that's the reason of the gravestone. This is a British cemetery, and this is a landscape in the desert. Thank you very much.